From our studios in Atlanta, this is CBT News. Today's show is brought to you by eLead One. And here now, Bridget Fitzpatrick and Joe Gum.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to CBT News. Today is Wednesday, September 14th. I'm Joe Gum, and looky who is back in the seat
again, right.
on assignment. Can we go ahead and tell people where you were?
That's right.
She's a part of a UFC Women's Lightweight Division tour, and you were doing that this weekend.
That's right.
You won.
I did.
So you
It
move
good.
on. So you might be missing a couple more shows.
That's right. It'll be all right.
Yeah. So
we'll see
good
what
job,
happens.
though. Yeah.
Now, I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick, and we appreciate you joining us today. It's Wednesday, so that means we're going to be taking a look at the latest OEM headlines impacting the industry.
Also, the big talk about movement into mobility and what that means for car dealers. We'll tell you what one industry expert says about the future of dealers and their sales.
And we'll tell you about the financial services company that's offering services to both consumers and dealers.
A digital menu for F&I or paperwork. And does that matter what your dealership wants or what the customers want and feels comfortable with? We ask F&I expert and the host of F&I Today right here, Becky Cherny.
And it's Wednesday, so be sure to check out the latest episode of Auto Marketing Now with Brian Pash and On the Mark with Mark Tewart. But before we get to those great stories, we have 5 ways to improve communication.
Oh my
Always
goodness,
should use that.
these are good. Comes to us from lifehack.org. Number 1, never talk over people. That's a good one for my family of 6. This demonstrates a real lack of respect if you do it. It's disrespect, obviously, if you do it. Number 2, don't finish other people's sentences. Or, and I would add to that, their sandwiches.
Right.
Yeah, they don't like that. They really don't. It says, I used to do this a lot thinking I was helping people finish sentences for them. Wrong.
Yeah, you just seem like you're being helpful, but you're not.
Yeah. Number 3, paraphrase. Number 4, listen actively. It says focus on active listening instead of passive listening. Number 5, maintain eye contact. That's a good one for everyone out there that's ADHD.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
there you go.
important list.
Hey, before we jump into the great stories we have for you today in the interview, we want to tell you again, remind you about the 2nd annual CBT Conference and Expo right here in Atlanta, March 7th through the 9th. Tickets are on sale this week for a special rate for dealers who register for the conference.
That's right. And with keynote speakers like John Acuff, Gary Vaynerchuk, Google's Peter Leto, Dr. Nicole Lipkin, and more, you do not want to miss this. Also speaking at the conference will be all of the great speakers you see here on CBT, like Mark Tewart, David Kane, Brian Pash, Becky Chernick, Corey Mosley, David Lewis, Jeff Cowan, and Tom Stuker. So check it out at cbtconferenceandexpo.com and be sure to register for the event today so you do not miss out. Now, we all know that electrical vehicles have made a name for themselves lately in today's auto industry, but what does that mean for car dealers and how they will continue to sell cars in the future?
Well, Ford CEO Mark Fields tells CNBC how the move into mobility will expand their business.
How do the efforts today, Mark, to improve and expand mobility and transportation in major cities, how does that help Ford sell vehicles?
Well, overall, first off, it expands our business. First off, we're taking a point of view of the world that the world is moving from just an ownership mindset around transportation to a shared mindset. And so we have a wonderful business around how people come and buy and own our vehicles. This is an opportunity for us to expand our business to mobility services and also to touch folks who may not ever own a car or ever have any exposure to Ford. So this is about not going from an old business to a new business. It's just expanding our business and filling an unmet need, particularly for cities that want to solve some of their congestion and mobility issues.
Is this essentially admitting or conceding that perhaps the best days for vehicle sales may be behind the industry?
Well, overall, when we look at growth around the world, our core business is still a growth business. When you look in places around the world, whether it's Asia Pacific or otherwise, this is still a business that's going to grow at a fairly good compounded growth rate for the next number of years. But at the same time, as these new mobility services come on, you could argue that it would decrease, for example, car usage or density in major urban areas. And that's why we're embracing the sharing and the services part of our business, because we think it'll allow us to grow and compensate for any kind of detriment we see in the actual number of vehicles in downtown areas.
All right, so the big push, obviously, from Ford Mobility, but car dealers are still part of the process. All right, have you seen this commercial? If not, take a look at it.
Remember, here at Ally, nothing stops us from doing right by our customers. Who's with me?
I'm in.
Come in.
I'm in.
Wait, where's Tina?
You doing the hand thing?
Yep.
We're all in for our customers. Ally, do it right.
Okay, so recently Ward's Auto reported that Ally launched its first ever unified brand campaign aimed at highlighting the full scope of its financial services offered both to auto dealers and consumers. The Do It Right campaign ranges from national TV spots, as you just saw, to online videos, to print ads. Some are humorous, other dealer and consumer testimonials. The campaign aims to support and unify the Ally brand as the company expands and diversifies its offerings.
As you may know, Ally offers floor plan, financing, retail lending, and other assorted services to several brands. We felt it was important for people to understand the broader Ally story and all the things we do, especially since we've added a lot of new products and services, says Andrea Riley, Chief Marketing Officer for Ally. She tells Ward's Auto consumer advertising in the new campaign will focus on premier protection and retail. Okay, so each week we give you Auto Marketing Now with Brian Pash to discuss marketing tips to boost the way that you reach consumers. On today's show, Brian continues part 2 of 2 in a series about how easy it is to utilize green screen technology and produce your own video content.
Recently, I conducted a workshop at the Morgan Auto Group showing how easy it is to use green screen technology to create professional videos. That's right, videos you could use on your website, videos you could use on Facebook, videos you can use in your CRM communications. It's a lot easier than you think.
All right, so check out the rest of those tips coming up right after this show. It's Auto Marketing Now. All right, coming up next, though, your F&I manager doesn't necessarily like cutting down trees, but he just can't let go of doing all that paperwork in the back, right, when it comes to the car buying process. But is the car buying process stalling because of that paperwork? We'll ask Becky Chernick, host of F&I Today, plus our OEM headlines for the week and a preview of On the Mark with Mark Turin.
Yeah, I use Manheim Transportation Services. I don't have to worry about it. I know that it's going to be picked up, car's going to be brought where it needs to be. That's my Manheim.
Hello, I'm David Kane. Please join me here each Thursday on Kane & Company on the CBT Automotive Network, and we'll talk to industry experts on everything going from sales to employment to all the changes in the industry that will make your dealership better.
So a customer is wrapping up the car buying process at your dealership. Everything has gone well, super fast and easy. Then they get to the F&I office where the manager is waiting with lots of paperwork.
But up until that moment, everything was digital and the process was seamless. So does that mean maybe it's time for F&I managers to go mobile as well with a digital menu? We sat down with Becky Chernick, host of F&I Today, to get her thoughts.
You're seeing this topic everywhere now. F&I, digital menu, are more people adapting to this? Is it working? Is it more fluff or more buff? What is it?
Well, I think we definitely have our job ahead of us, and I think that digital menu presentation can be ideal in the right environment. But I do think that some of these F&I people, as much as we don't want to hear, we have some pushback. They're still wanting to do their paper menus, so it's not as if it's that easy. And especially when we're trying to teach an old dog new tricks, it's taken us this long just to go ahead and get that F&I manager up on a paper menu presentation, let alone this digital menu presentation.
So they missed the paper cuts. But here's the thing, It's not about them, right? Because we're always talking about, especially on this network, we have people talking about the fact that it's all about the customer. And the customer is our boss, really?
That's right.
And they're changing everything. And everything is digital and everything is mobile. So when they come in and they continue to see the stacks of paper, then that sort of just killed the process. They have a great experience with the salesperson, then they get back there in the F&I manager's office, and all of a sudden, more paperwork and some weirdness.
Well, I agree. It is about the customer, and the customer has to feel that seamless process and enjoy this entire buying experience. And I do believe that the digital menu presentation allows that, because it allows the customer to get engaged and be able to pick and choose their products and drag and drop products and that sort of thing. So it would be important for the finance person to get a better understanding of how this works, but it will take time.
All right, so we may be talking about that for a little while, right?
Yep.
Now let's take a look at some of the top manufacturing headlines from this past week.
Forbes reported Chevy is continuing to simplify the electronic driving experience for Bolt, its new 200-mile range EV. The car will allow one-pedal operation that avoids the necessity to work the car's brakes to slow down or bring the vehicle to a stop. Chevy has recreated the Bolt system to allow a driver to bring the car to a complete stop in certain driving conditions solely via regenerative braking. The Bolt will include 4 progressively stronger levels of regen braking, 2 of which involve the necessity to engage a regen on-demand paddle on the back of the Bolt's steering wheel.
According to the Detroit Bureau, BMW recently received permission to sell diesels in the U.S. The announcement came after Renault, the French automaker, examined the costs of meeting tougher emission standards after VW's issues. This approval is important because 6% of all BMWs sold in the U.S. are diesel-powered vehicles. Overall, diesels account for 4% of U.S. vehicle sales annually.
More news from Forbes. Recently, Toyota agreed to take control of Fujitsu 10, one of the world's leading developers of millimeter wave radar, a key technology for dependable autonomous driving. Once the deal is complete by the end of the current fiscal year on March 31st, 2017, Toyota, together with its group company Denso, is one of the world's largest OEM parts suppliers.
And according to Detroit News, Volkswagen will buy stake in Navistar International Corp to get ahead in the U.S. heavy truck market. VW will pay $256 million for a 1.6% holding and assume 2 board seats as part of the deal that includes technology sharing and joint purchasing. Navistar has always made sense as an expansion target for Volkswagen, which has no presence in the North American commercial vehicle market, said Brian Sponheimer, Gabelli & Company analyst, and Navistar has been burning through cash. This allows dealers to tell their consumers that Navistar will be here in the North American market in the future.
Okay, so another great show we bring you each Wednesday is On the Mark with Mark Turin. On today's show, Mark answers questions about handling internet to sales handoffs and processes. Take a look.
The more that you do up front to take away the fear, the better off that you are. It's hard to overcome it once a customer's already felt the fear. How do you do this? Video email introductions. Why not have you send a video also letting the customer know that they're going to be working with Joe Blow, the manager, or Mary, the salesperson, as part of a team effort that you do at Coastal Ford.
All right, great stuff from Mark as usual. To hear more, though, be sure to catch a show right after this show. Also, don't forget, beginning September 20th, the Tom Stuker Show is moving to Tuesdays.
And while you're here online, don't forget to connect with us on social media for more CBT news on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You'll get highlights of our shows, exclusive interviews, and so much more.
And pictures, right, of your events, the fighting.
That's right.
Yeah,
we'll
good
post
stuff.
them.
Hey, I'm Joe Gum. We appreciate you joining us today.
And I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching the official news source of the retail automotive industry, CBT News. Today's show is brought to you by eLead One.